Rabbanim. The Gemara in Masechet Bava Batra, in the famous passage where it describes the order of the Tanakh, has a different order, according to Chachmei Bavel, than that which this program will be following. The Gemara has, following Sefer Melachim, it has first Yirmiyah, then Yechezkel, and only then Yeshaya. And the Gemara very simply asks, chronologically, shouldn't it have been Yeshaya first? And the Gemara responds, the reason Yirmiyah comes right after Melachim is because Yirmiyah is a book of destruction, of Churban. And the end of Sefer Melachim is, of course, dealing with Churban. Yechezkel begins with Churban, says the Gemara, and therefore it comes right after Yirmiyah and ends with Nehama, ends with this consolation. Then comes Yeshaya, says the Gemara, and Yeshaya is Nehama. That is the Gemara's characterization of Sefer Yeshaya. It's a book of Nehama. It's a book of consolement. Maharsha, in his Perush on the Gemara, says, oh, wait a second, look at the book. The book is not fully Nehama. So he says, famously, Rubo Kekulo. He says, majority of the book, in his opinion, is Nehama. He says, Yirmiyah is not all about Churban. Rubo Kekulo, majority of the book is about Churban. In the eyes of the Chachamim, Sefer Yeshaya would be characterized as a book of Nehama. How ironic is it then that the Nehama, and this is what makes Sefer Yeshaya, one of what the aspects that makes Sefer Yeshaya so challenging. The Nehama described in Sefer Yeshaya occurred, ostensibly, over 200 years after his life. He's talking about a Nehama after, or much of his Nehama is referring to, after coming back from Galut Bavel, something which is 150, 200 years off from the life of Yeshaya. This is what brought many Chokrim to advance their theory against the Gemara, that Yeshaya was written by two separate people. From Perek Mem and onward, it is Yeshaya Bet. It's the second Yeshaya. In the eyes of the Chachamim, it's one Yeshaya. The Gemara does say that Hizkiah v'Siato, the Gemara says at the end of that passage in Masechet Bava Batra, they helped somehow in the writing of the book. But they helped in the writing of several books. In the eyes of several, that's referring to Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, really where the source of all of those Nevuot came from was Yeshaya, according to the Chachamim. How could it be? Why would it be that this book of Nehama is referring to Nehama hundreds of years down the road? Shaddai famously defends this opinion and says, he was a Navi. I mean, what's the first thing we're taught about prophets as little kids? They can see into the future. And they can see into the future, they can know what's going to happen in the future, so you put it past him that he has 26 perakim on futuristic things. And that's not so crazy. But at the end of the day, why is that in Sefer Yeshaya? Why does that find its way into Sefer Yeshaya? Why is he writing about? Why is he talking about things? Why is he preaching things that are going to occur in the future? Question number one. Question number two is just the structure of Sefer Yeshaya. Sefer Yeshaya has this interesting opening. It opens by describing Yeshaya. Hazon Yeshayahu ben Amos asher haza al Yehuda v'Yerushalayim. We're about to read about the vision of Yeshayahu. When did he live? When did he have this nivu'ah? B'yemei Uziyahu, Yotam, Ahaz, Yechizkiyahu, Malchei Yehuda. These four Malchei Yehuda, it was during their lifetimes. It is unclear if he started at the beginning of Uziah's lifetime. It seems like it may have not been from Perek Vav, but at some point it's spanning 35, 65, I mean, depending on during which periods of their lives he was mitnabeh and how long he went. This is his nivu'ah. You'd expect the next words to begin the book. However, as Rashi points out, the true beginning, according to the Chachamim, only begins in Perek Vav. It's 6 chapters later. Perek Vav, the Pesukim describe this hakdasha, this choosing of Yeshayahu. It takes 6 perakim to start the book. The first 5 perakim have nothing to do with the beginning. The beginning starts in Perek Vav. Why should that be so? He now is chosen by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be the Navi in Perek Vav. But we read about his nivuot beforehand. Why structure the book that way? Why should it be that the first 5 come after Perek Vav? And Rashi, of course, answers the answer that you're all thinking, and that is, En mukdam meuchar b'Torah. But En mukdam meuchar b'Torah will work for a mefaresh like Rashi. What would someone like Ramban Nachmani say? What would someone who wants there to be order in the Torah answer? Why is it that Sefer Yeshaya is structured, so to speak, in out of order fashion? The answer, I believe, to both of these issues lies in Perek Vav. Perek Vav, which is this Hakdasha, which is this choosing of Yeshayahu as the Navi, starts by describing his vision. His vision of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bichvodo Be'atzmo. He sees HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he sees him sitting, the way he's describing it, on a chair. Obviously an anthropomorphic description, not to be taken literally. And he sees these seraphim, he sees these angels of sorts around him. And he goes, not at length, but he spends several Pesukim describing that. And then he volunteers himself to be the Navi. In Pesuk Tet, after he described this vision and he volunteered himself, we now have his mission. So this is what we're waiting for. What is Yeshayahu's mission? Vayomer. He is told, Lech ve'amarta la'am hazeh, tell this nation. What do you want? What is Yeshayahu's mission? Here it is. Shim'u shamoa ve'el tavinu. I want you to hear, or you will hear, the Mefarshim debate, ve'el tavinu, but you won't understand. Uru'u ra'o ve'el teda'u. And you're going to see a lot of things, but you won't comprehend them. Now a command. Hashmin lev ha'am hazeh. I want you to fatten their hearts. He is told. Ve'oznav hachbed, ve'inav hasha. Make sure that their hearts are fattened. They're not able to be hozer b'tshuva. Make sure their eyes are dimmed. Make sure their ears are not fully hearing everything you're saying. So he's given this most daunting mission. The mission is make sure they hear everything. Go ahead, give them tochecha. Teach them right and wrong. Teach them what they should be hearing and should be knowing, but make sure they don't know it. How in the world is someone supposed to do that? You can lie to them, but that's not what he's told to do. You can ignore them. You cannot talk to people. That's not what he's told to do. He's told, talk to them. That's what Sefer Yeshaya was about, him talking to people, to kings, to ministers. But make sure they don't understand it. How in the world is one to fulfill that? That is, I believe, what Sefer Yeshayahu is all about. Perek Mem and onward is this futuristic business. There was no one who had a clue who this man he kept referring to, Koresh, is. But that was the point. He was talking truthful things to them. And he had a tochecha, he had a mission which he was fulfilling. He was confusing them. I can talk to you, I can tell you lots of truthful things, I can give you lots of messages, but if at the same time I'm talking about things and you have no idea what I'm talking about, you're going to zone out a little bit. You're not going to really identify with what I'm telling you. So Yeshayahu was written in the eyes of the Chachamim fully by one person. Why is it that he spends 26 plus chapters talking about things that were not going to occur for another 200 years? Because that was his mission. Make sure they're not fully comprehending this. Make sure you're speaking to them, but they're not fully getting it. The very composition of the book was written in a challenging manner. Instead of starting in a chronological order, instead of starting from Perek Aleph, it starts in Perek Vav. That's challenging. That's hard to understand. Why should it be out of order? But it's purposefully out of order. It's out of order because that's the mission of Yeshayahu. Make sure you're talking to them. But at the same time, they have this hashmanat lev. Their hearts are fat and they're not truly able to identify with what you're saying to them. That perhaps is what the Chachamim had in mind as well when the Chachamim in this famous passage in Masechet Yevamot describe this encounter or the death of Yeshaya. The Gemara describes Yeshaya being killed by Menashe, whom according to the Chachamim was his grandson. So Menashe, this evil man, he confronts Yeshayahu and says to him, I want to kill you. Or without saying, I want to kill you, he says, I think you're an apikoros. That's basically what he says to him. I think you're a heretic, and I'm going to prove it to you. Menashe, this either righteous or, he's a rotten person. So he says to him, how is it that you talked about seeing HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Doesn't the Torah say you can't see HaKadosh Baruch Hu and still be alive? How is it that you claim that you can see HaKadosh Baruch Hu when he's around? You should dirshu amonai behimaseo, kira'uhu biyoto karov. Doesn't the pasuk in the Torah say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there? Bechol kor'enu elav. One after another, and a third contradiction, his message in Sefer Melachim to Hizkiah, in which he talks to Hizkiah and he says, you're going to have an extra 15 years to your life. Wait a second, doesn't the Torah say we have a specified amount of years that we're going to live? Menashe confronts Yeshayahu and says, you contradicted the Torah on 3 points. And the Gemara says Yeshayahu had the opportunity and the ability to answer and explain that none of these were difficult. None of these messages that he was teaching the people were a contradiction at all to what was written in the Torah. And the Gemara describes exactly why. The Gemara resolves every single one of these difficulties. But he didn't. And why didn't he? Because he reasoned, says the Gemara, even if I explain it to Menashe, he's still going to kill me. But just explain it to him. So go out and be righteous. You're not going to look good after this. People are going to hear you were killed because you had these heretical views. Why not just explain it, resolve all these contradictions? But the answer is, this is who Yeshayahu is. Yeshayahu is supposed to be confusing. Yeshayahu is supposed to be talking truth. Every single perek in Yeshayahu is pretty clear if you understand what he's saying. The tochecha is a pretty clear tochecha. You'll read perek Aleph, you'll understand everything that he's saying. But at the same time, it has to be confusing. It has to be confusing. You'll understand the words, but you won't be able to match them up with different parts. You'll understand perek Mem until the end of Sefer Yeshaya, but how does that fit in with the rest? It doesn't, and nobody could understand that. You'll understand his vision and his explanation of what he saw. How does that fit in with what the Torah says? You can't understand that, and you shouldn't understand that. That's what the Divrei Chachamim do for us. In a word, the mission of Yeshayahu, as daunting as it was fulfilled in a novel way. Yeshayahu is told, talk truth, teach truth, let everyone hear it, but not comprehend it. The only way he possibly could have pulled that off is by talking truth, but by making it confusing, by including futuristic things, by talking about nechama, the future, by talking about things that seemed like contradictions to the Torah, by composing the book, by composing the Nevu'ah in an out-of-order fashion. That was Yeshayahu. That was Hashmin et lev ha'am hazeh. Good luck in your limud in the future.